A little partner rivalries happening this weekend because Ben Affleck is also dropping a new film, which is going against his boo J-Lo, who's dropping a film this weekend as well. But let's talk about Ben's new film, and that film is Hypnotic. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Hypnotic, which is coming to theaters May 12th. So J-Lo got The Mother, which is dropping on Netflix, and Ben is hitting theaters with his new film Hypnotic, which definitely makes for a good little competition within that household here. But I'm going to just quickly say that, like, you know, if you love action, this one for sure. If you love superheroes, because it totally has a superhero tone to it. Minus the superhero, but like the villain is definitely giving you like villainish from every typical superhero movie or superhero series, whatever it may be. And then you throw in some Inception, so some mind-bending aspect to it. I mean, here you go, you got Hypnotic. And while I feel like this film didn't get enough promotion, and I'm definitely scratching my head as to why. Number one, you have director and writer of this film, Robert Rodriguez, who anything he's on is a yes for me. Also need that sequel to Alita Battle Angel. But yes, with him being a director writer in this, absolutely yes. Ben Affleck as your star. I mean, how much farther do we need to go here? But yet he is partnered alongside of Alice Braga and Will Fichtner is a name that you should know, because him as your villain in this, and as they say in the synopsis, he's the one who potentially holds the key to where Ben Affleck's character daughter is missing. And yes, let's talk about the plot in this one, because this gives you, I think if I could actually like stir this up to be a little bit, this is like The Flash mixed with Inception, because the villain is certainly a metahuman, and beyond the villain being a metahuman, there's other metahumans going around, and I'll just leave it at that. And then when you talk about the power set of this villain, you know, it's like a telepath but with the Mind Stone. So it's like Professor X. You add the Mind Stone together, and you just got this villain that goes around and truly can not only change one's mind, but the reality around their mind. So let's start off with Ben Affleck's character, Detective Danny Rourke, who daughter is missing. And while he tries to kind of move on with life, he's still absolutely motivated into trying to figure out where his missing daughter is. And there's clues left and right, and he, to no end, is going to figure out where she's at. That's absolutely his absolute motive, but he's also really struggling with it sort of mentally. But with that, he solicits the help from a psychic who is Diana Cruz, played by Alice Braga here. So within 10 minutes of the film being called Hypnotic, 10 minutes within the film, you start to get a taste of what this film is actually going to be. And as I mentioned, it's a metahuman, because you have this character, Del Rain, played by William Fichtner, who he is an enigma sort of figure to Rourke, who he's being pursued in order to reveal the mystery behind everything that's going on here. This guy is the metahuman. He and anything that's around him really starts to become trippy and yet weird, but in a good way. And I just want to quickly say that William is fantastic in this. I really enjoyed this very much pesque of a character, but truly an annoyance in everything he does. He continues to pop up, yet he has so much control over anything and everything around him, which makes his character intriguing. Again, he's a metahuman, if you ask me. And if they, you know, it's almost like when Marvel couldn't say mutants. It's like if this show was that, it's like they can't say metahuman, but we all know what it is, right? That's his character in Del Rain here. I guess I enjoyed the villain a lot in this, but with that too, I will say that Danny Rourke, Ben's character, is also a big question mark, because the more and more we start to get to know this character, the more and more questions the viewers have. And again, this movie is like Inception, where, like, the dreams within the dreams, and he's trying to figure out what's actually reality and what isn't. There's a lot of that going on in this, in terms of like all the mind bending and the out of shape reality that's happening around everybody. What's truly what? The first 10 minutes of the film, as I mentioned, completely starts to get the gears turning in terms of like, what is this film going to be? And honestly, a lot of Ben's character is, I hate to say this, but like, it's definitely giving you Bruce Wayne minus the Batman aspect of it here. Like, he's a detective. Like, he wants to know what's going on. He wants to find his daughter, and like his mannerisms and everything is definitely giving you that. But I still enjoy it. And I think anything with Bruce as your lead is definitely going to be like, yeah. And I also really did like Alice, who just, I can't even say anything about this character because she's a sidekick. And with her being a sidekick, she starts to explain to Danny a lot of what's going on, but also she's also a big mystery in herself. So there's that. And I think because there are victims, like, let's just say Danny's partner Nix, who's played by JD Pardo, I think because there are victims of this bit of hypnotic or hypnotism, but as I mentioned and as I described it, folks are going through different emotions. And I think that like JD is one of the few in terms of really flicking through the emotions, which I consider to be really good acting, seeing them come from like sad to mad and all these other different things because they're being mind control. I did enjoy that aspect of the film. But when it comes down to Robert Rodriguez, we know he does sci-fi as one of the best in Hollywood. And for sure, this film completely gets the sci-fi going, which I think I would love to see a lot more within this universe, or a trilogy or some sort series. Give me some more. There's a sequel or a prequel, something with this, because I think this film laid the good foundation in terms of the possibilities. And maybe I'm just a big comic book and superhero nerd that's why I'm just so overly with it. But other than that, the film doesn't do a lot of things special. It's just entertaining. And I think that the mind bending and the psychological aspect of it is what really gets the film its legs. I think that's the part of the film that will keep people kind of intrigued and trying to figure out what's really happening. And while you get a sense of it very early in the film, it really doesn't really come into shape until the third act here. And that's where a lot of the things that you've been trying to clear up and get answers to really starts to unravel. And that is the interesting aspect of it. There's a secret government agency that's involved with this, the division, and with the secret agency and this government program, shall I say, that the mystery involving his missing daughter and how that all plays a part it's a lot. And I mean, and again, like, the story starts off with him just being at a park, and then his sister's gone. His daughter's gone. And you're kind of like, wow, did you see him kind of working through that and processing that? And then still trying to maintain the life. But then there's just so many other different random things that's kind of happening. An opening scene that's kind of like, what? Who's that guy? What's going on with there? Why is that lady acting, trippy? There's a lot that kind of happens very early in the film. But again, by the third act, it all really starts to make sense, because in the beginning, you start to scratch your head like, I'm not understanding how we went from this to this. But the third act will clean it up for you, for sure. But yeah, last thing I will say is that the ending felt completely flat. It felt like somebody slammed the door in your face and said, leave. You know what I mean? But there is a mid-credit scene, because I was definitely hoping out for one, because I was like, you cannot just end it like that. Leave me hanging like that. The mid-credit scene is sort of shocking, but it does sort of provides a little bit of hope, maybe, that they can do something going forward. And I think that, if this gets some traction, this gets some momentum, this starts to, rack in some money, maybe they can do something with it. And I would definitely be on board for a sequel with this. But I enjoyed it for what it's worth, man. I think Ben is always a treat and a joy to watch. Huge fan of Robert Rodriguez and anything he does, especially sci-fi. And I think that this definitely has potential to do something and be something great. And I think the cast worked really well here. And again, I think my standouts outside of Ben, I really enjoyed William and I really enjoyed Alice. And it will be interesting to see what they got coming up next with this, because you cannot do a one and done with this unless this is bombs that doesn't make any money. But again, if you like a good old little comic book movie minus superheroes, but just the villain and potentially a superhero origin story of some sort with some inception, so you got this mind-bending psychological aspect to it, I think Hypnotic is that, you know? Hypnotic 2023. Just make sure you're watching the right one, because there's definitely another Hypnotic film. But yeah, folks, let me know in the comments your thoughts about this when you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.